Petr Yan's taking on Deiveson Figueiredo this weekend, man, and today I'm about to go over my predictions for the whole entire card. Now, this card's taking place a little bit early over here on the East Coast. It is 3 a.m. for the prelims, so I'm going to be up watching, but I don't know how excited I will be. But look, nonetheless, I'm probably going to be doing a best bet stream, I want to say tomorrow, Thursday afternoon, so if you want to tune into that, go for it, man. I appreciate everybody who did tune into the last one. But yeah, man, I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into the first one. So I'm starting off with the main event, going down towards the last prelim now. Someone suggested it, and I do think it's a good idea. So Petr Yan taking on Deiveson Figueiredo, such a great matchup, and a matchup I never thought we'd see, but now it's here, okay? You look at the Yan side, and this is what I want to get out of the way early. Petr Yan ruptured his ACL in the fight versus Song Yadong. Now, that fight was in, I want to say, March or February. It makes me a little concerned. You don't recover from an ACL rupture that fast. And I don't know the extent of which it was hurt because, honestly, it probably wasn't hurt that bad if he's coming back so early. But he's back. He's going against Deiveson Figueiredo, who's been on a freaking heater, man. The guy has been beating people left and right, but they haven't been that impressive. Honestly, to me, I'm watching all these fights, and I think some of them are impressive, but other ones are just, the Cody Garbrandt one, I don't think he looked great. He was getting outstruck, getting outboxed, looked awful on the feet against Cody Garbrandt, and Cody Garbrandt can do that to people, but it was like exchanges where it wasn't close on the feet. Like Cody Garbrandt was absolutely tagging him, and that makes me nervous here, okay, because Petr Yan is a better boxer than Cody Garbrandt. I don't think he's faster, but he's a better boxer. And when you look at the volume discrepancy of both sides, Petr Yan outlands, Deiveson Figueiredo and throws 3 more shots per round, or per minute, I'm sorry. So the volume is automatically going to go to Petr Yan. And when you look at Petr Yan, he's got some of the best defense, okay? His guard's always up high. He's always moving his head. He always does this, shoulder blocks the shots. And Deiveson Figueiredo is going to be looking to land that right hand because that changes everything. You saw him drop Marlon Vera with the right hand. The dude has some freakish power, and I expect him to look for that shot because it can change the fight. But, here I think Petr Yan's going to get this one done. His, like I said, his defense, man, that guard's always up, head movement. It's hard for me to see Figueiredo having success on the feet. Now, he's been residing to the wrestling a lot, frequently actually, in his fights, and his takedown entries have been looking good. Obviously, the guy is incredible, BJJ. He really does. But, Yan is, golly, man, he's faced some of the best wrestlers, and Song Yadong was able to get him down momentarily, briefly, but the guy's scrambles are incredible. He is such good scrambles, and I think it's going to be hard for Figueiredo to hold on. So with that being said, I do think Petr Yan's going to go out there and win this fight. I think the volume, I do think he'll chop at that leg of Figgy's as well, but he's got to watch out for that right hand. It is a bullet, and, it's a massive weapon that Figueiredo can use. But, man, Petr Yan is so defensively sound. He's so technical. It's hard for me to see him losing. But like I said, that ACL could be a problem, and it definitely can be. And as well as I do want to say, I've noticed Figueiredo's gas tank, in the last 3 fights, ever since he's been at bantamweight, especially in that Vera fight, man, he looked horrible with the slowing down. And if he doesn't drop Vera in that fight, I think he loses. So very concerning on the side of Deiveson Figueiredo. I do think, obviously, the guy can change a fight, but I do think Yan is much better here. I know the line's at like minus 200. I would bet it if there wasn't any injuries on the Petr Yan side, or such close injuries. But for me, I'll probably stay away from it. But I do think Yan is going to be the guy that outstrikes, outlands. And, he typically does drop the first round. So I'll say like a 49-46 decision for Petr Yan. Next up, Tabatha Ricci versus Xiaonan. Guys, please forgive me on the names on this card. I mean, there are some absolutely insane ones, and it's hard for me to read some of them, okay? But Ricci, Tabatha Ricci, she's very good looking. She has a weird kind of style on the feet where she's aggressive, but she's kind of like fast a little bit. There's nothing behind the punches, though. She's coming off 2 wins. I believe 2 split decisions. I mean, you look at her record, she's splitting a decision every damn time. I don't see a split decision here. I see Yan absolutely taking over this fight. Ricci is going to look for the takedowns, but it's not like her takedowns are good. You know, Yan has defended takedowns. I know she got taken down by Zhang Weili, but Zhang Weili is a different beast than Tabatha Ricci when it comes to the wrestling. Ricci is going to look for the takedowns. Her body, she likes to get the body lock, but they're nothing special. I don't really see Yan having issues with them. And I do think on the feet when, you know, Yan is a lot better on the feet. And I was kind of leaning towards Ricci early on, but rewatching, man, you know, it's hard for me to pick her, especially because all the damn split decisions. I don't think she'll get a split decision here. I do think she'll, you know, lose this one pretty easily, and I do think Yan is going to go out there and put out a masterclass at 30-27 decision. Next up, man, I've been waiting for this fight, man. Let's go. Look, honestly, this fight should be on a damn prelim at the Apex. But Muslim Salikhov taking on Song Kenan. And guys, I know I've seen a ton of people saying Song Kenan's the pick here, and I couldn't be, you know, I couldn't disagree more. I think it's Muslim Salikhov without a doubt, okay? I know he's 40 years old, and he's coming off a split decision win versus Santiago Ponzinibbio, who would probably school Song Kenan. I don't really know what people think Song Kenan is, okay? He's coming off a win versus Ricky Glenn. Go back and watch that fight and tell me you were impressed with Song Kenan. I mean, Ricky Glenn looked like a zombie coming forward and slow as dirt. I mean, he couldn't move at all. And Song Kenan was gassed out the whole fight. I mean, horrible, horrible fight. I did not think Song Kenan looked anywhere near good, and I'm surprised this number isn't higher, honestly, because, I mean, goodness gracious. Song Kenan looked atrocious in that fight, gassed out. And he does have sharp hands. You know, his combinations are pretty good. He does hit pretty damn hard. But when you look at the overall striking, it really isn't close. Muslim Salikhov is 10 times the striker. He's got way faster kicks. He's way faster with the hands. His footwork is 10 times better. And like I said, I know I've seen people all over Song Kenan, and I'm very confused here. Because when you go look at the film, man, it shouldn't even be a close fight. You know, Salikhov is much, much better. You know, he does get pressed up on the fence, and that's where he can find himself in some trouble. But he usually does a good job grabbing up in that clinch and breaking away. But at distance, man, he's fast. You know, he is 40 years old. His footwork is good. You know, his hands, he's got a really good check hook. His spinning kicks, you know, they're sneaky. And you don't see him coming, man. Song Kenan's a zombie at range, a statue at range that doesn't move. He's all frozen up. And he's not a good fighter, okay? Yeah, I could see him catching Salikhov, but if you're gonna tell me that, you know, Song Kenan's gonna go out here and outland Muslim Salikhov, I'd tell you you're crazy, honestly, because it doesn't seem likely to me. So I do think Salikhov could get a finish here, but I'm gonna go with the decision for Muslim Salikhov to get this one done. Next up, Wang taking on Gabriella Fernandes. Now, I want to get this out of the way that Gabriella Fernandes is actually a striker. She can strike, and she's not a bad striker either. So that's something I kind of wanted to say here, that she is a good striker in her own right. But you're looking at Wang, who just put a girl out cold. And that's probably the second time I've ever seen a WMMA fighter go out cold. No offense or anything, but out cold. She put that lady out cold. I don't even know who it was, but, you know, she did this corny little Joker thing, and I kind of, you know, cringed a little bit. But when it comes to her skill set, obviously she's a great, great kickboxer. But, man, I can't deny that Gabriella Fernandes, I think, is going to have moments here. I don't think Wang Kong's going to run through her like the odds say where she's minus 800. I don't think so. Like I said, man, Fernandes, she's had trouble with the grappling in her UFC run so far. And she's, you know, had people like Jazz Vicious on the cut of getting finished with their striking. Or not getting finished, but, you know, having a lot of success. And no, I don't think she's as sharp as Wang Kong. But I do expect Wang Kong to get this one done. But look for Gabriella Fernandes to land some good shots. I don't think she's going to go out easily. We might even see Wang Kong go to the wrestling because Fernandez's wrestling is very, very bad. And it's been taken, you know, exposed multiple times. But I do expect Wang Kong to get this one done. I'm going to go a 29-28 decision. I do think Fernandez is going to impress some people and take a round off of Wang Kong. Next up is going to be Volkan Oezdemir taking on Carlos Ulberg. And I really wanted to pick Volkan Oezdemir. And I tell you one thing, if this fight takes place maybe 2 or 3 years earlier, I'd be all over Oezdemir. But I do think he's slowing down. I do think, you know, he's gotten 2 wins in a row. Johnny Walker, I mean, the other one was Bogdan Guskov, I believe, which is an okay win. And I feel like an idiot because I'm just picking all favorites right now. I promise I have some underdogs on the prelims, but I am going to pick Carlos Ulberg, and I do think it's the athleticism that gets it done, the footwork that gets it done. I see, I don't want to like completely compare it to Magomed Ankalaev, but when you do look at the striking of Ulberg, it can be compared to Ankalaev in the way that they both are very light on the feet, very good footwork. They can move in and out quick, and they can crack. But obviously, you got a guy like Magomed Ankalaev that has that wrestling background and had the ability to take down Volkan Oezdemir as well as strike with him. But when I do look at the striking, I do see that similar matchup between Volkan Oezdemir and Magomed Ankalaev, where you got Oezdemir as a brawler, kind of wants to get in the pocket and push you on the fence, and I do think, we'll see Volkan Oezdemir be able to get Ulberg on the fence. That's no problem, but Ulberg doesn't mind being there. He doesn't mind being on the outside, but he's got a nasty, nasty left hook that you got to be wary of, man. He puts people out with it, and like I said 3 years earlier, I'm picking Volkan Oezdemir, but in this matchup, man, I got to go with Ulberg to get the win here. I do think he's going to find a second-round finish as well. Just Volkan's going to kind of get frustrated. I feel like he'll open up a shot, and Ulberg will find a finish here. But I wouldn't be surprised if Volkan goes out there and wins. And I do think, if he goes out there and tries to take a wrestling approach, maybe he could win. But I don't think his wrestling's strong enough. I do think his BJJ is pretty good, but his wrestling entries aren't really strong enough for me to go out there and say, oh, we'll be able to take, Ulberg down easily. I don't think he will be. And if his wrestling was a little bit better, I'd probably pick him as well. I just can't pick him here. I do think pretty highly of Ulberg. I'm not a fan of the number whatsoever. I do think he's over minus 200, which I don't agree with at all. But when you look at him, he's a very talented striker, especially for the weight class. He's 6'4", and he can move fast, okay? He's very good kicking game. I think he's going to beat the hell out of Volkan's legs early. And I think he's going to set up a shot and find a finish against Volkan Oezdemir. It really reminds me of that Magomed Ankalaev fight. Like, Oezdemir and Ankalaev kind of have that same striking style, bouncing up and down. But I do think, Ulberg's sharper than Ankalaev on the feet. But yeah, man, let's move on. We got Ozzy Diaz taking on my boy Mingyang Zhang. Okay, I just made a video talking about the most exciting prospects, and Mingyang Zhang is one of my favorite prospects because he is so exciting, all right? He's always coming forward. Now, Ozzy Diaz was a middleweight, and I watched him in the LFA, and he wasn't bad, okay? He is a striker. He's not going to take anybody to the ground. Mingyang Zhang is a better wrestler, and he can take Ozzy Diaz to the ground if he'd like. But he was a 185er. He goes on the Contender Series, gets knocked out by Joe Pyfer, my boy Joe, and then he moves up to 205, and he's flabby at 205. He is 6'4", but he's not he's kind of fat. I don't want to say huge, but he is fat, and he's a little bit slow. But one thing that Ozzy Diaz does have, he's got really good cardio apparently. I don't know because he's outlasting these guys, and I don't know, I think Mingyang Zhang is going to be a better athlete here with good cardio, but I don't know, bro. Ozzy Diaz has some good cardio. He's got a hefty right hand. That's what he's going to look for. Look, I like Mingyang Zhang a lot, but this is a fight I'll probably stay away from, man. I don't, what if Ozzy Diaz goes out there and survives, or he can land something too? I love Mingyang Zhang. He's got a big old head, and he can take some shots, but he has been put out cold before. Multiple times, actually, okay? So I'm not saying Ozzy Diaz is going to do that because I do think when you look at the side of Mingyang Zhang, his technique, his boxing, his accuracy, his power is much, much better than Ozzy Diaz, but it only takes one of those shots from anybody, right? And he's there to be hit is what I'm trying to say. His defense isn't crazy, He doesn't really protect himself all the time. But I do expect him to get this one done. Just a fight I'm probably going to stay away from unless it's like a round proper under rounds I would probably like. But yeah, Mingyang Zhang to get this one done via first round knockout. And yeah, let's move on. Next up, this is where the names get a little bit harder. Baergeng Jieleyisi versus Suyoung Yu. So Suyoung Yu, wait, this isn't right. Is it? Give me a second, everybody. Sorry about this. Okay, that is right. Okay, Suyoung Yu I watched Suyoung Yu. He's a little smaller guy. He's got some fast hands. He's like a good wrestler, good jiu-jitsu guy. Both of these guys are wrestlers primarily. But when I look at the other side in Baergeng, he's pretty good, okay? And I do think he's the longer guy here. He's a little bit, faster as well, and I think he's the better striker, and I think that's going to play dividends here. I also think he's got the better cardio as well. So Baergeng, I do think is going to win this fight. I like his striking. He's got long, straight shots. He is going to be the taller guy. When it comes to the wrestling, Suyoung Yu likes to use that clinch to judo throw you, so he's got good judo. But Baergeng is good on the ground as well. It's gonna be a tough fight. Both of these fights that are on, or two of these Road to the UFC fights are close. They're very, very close. So I'm probably gonna side with the guy who's a little bit better on the feet, as well as he's faster, but he can hold himself on the ground. Now I do think Suyoung Yu is better on the ground, but I think Baergeng's going to be better on the feet. I think he's got a better cardio as well. So I'm going to be picking him to get this one done via a decision. Next up, another close one. Kiru Sahota versus Donghun Choi. I believe Sahota is the underdog, and I'm going to be picking him here. I do like Sahota's game. Now, I don't think he is a good athlete. I don't really know if he's the better striker, the slicker guy, but he is 5'10" for the weight class, and he's got a lot of heart. That's what I have to say about him. That's why I'm picking him, which I usually don't do. I usually put skill over that kind of stuff, but he's got a lot of heart. He loves to work in that clinch. He's very long and rangy. He uses the straight shots pretty well. Now, he can be clipped at times, but I also think when he gets, if Donghun Choi gets him to the ground, I think he can, threaten with submissions off his back. He loves that triangle choke. He loves those, chokes off his back, and he is from Manchester, top team. So looking at that, he's coming from a really good camp that's had a lot of success in the UFC. So I think that could play dividends here. But on the other side, Donghun Choi, he's a little bit small. He's not small, but compared to Sahota, he is small. Okay, he's 5'5" maybe. He's slicker though. He's gonna use those calf kicks. He's got good head movement, but man, he's been cracked a couple times in his career that I've seen, and he's almost out of there. He is 8-0, but I do think Sahota has fought the stiffer competition. He hasn't looked the best in all those fights, but he's a grinder. He grinds, okay? And I think he can grind a decision here with the clinch game, with the striking at range. It's going to be a close fight for sure. And I'm going to go a split decision win for Sahota, 29-28. I think he'll get two of the judges. Going to be a very close fight in my opinion, though. Next up, this is what I'm excited for. Xiaocan Feng taking on Ming. So Xiaocan Feng, the girl on the left here, my left, she's like Sean O'Malley, low-key. Like, she's strawweight, tall. I think she's like 5'7", 5'8", 5'7", but you got to remember, 5'7" for 115 pounds is a lot. You're looking at the other girl, Ming, who's probably 5'2", and this girl can strike, bro. Like, she is... You see this on the left side, that was one of her Road to the UFC fights. She beat the hell out of this girl. Like, finished her so fast. It was crazy. Nasty combination. She's a southpaw striker, but she's got a good ground game as well. I'm very, very confident she'll win this fight. She's 22 years old. She's one of those prospects, out of China that's going to come in here and dominate. She's going to dominate fighters. I'm not going to say, oh, she'd go fight, Wei Li for the belt and beat her right now. She trains with Yao Zhan, or one of the girls the girl fighting Tabatha Ricci. Yao Zhan Yan, but she's good, bro. She's really good, and I really enjoyed watching her because she's fast. She's got nasty combinations, and she's really good on the ground as well. Ming, she's kind of just thrown in there. She's kind of being thrown into the Shark Tank because, as you can tell by the picture over here, man, she's all right. She's, she looks like a nice lady, but I think it's gonna be a rough night. And I watched the film. She's not bad, but it's just like, bro. Like, I don't know how she wins, dude. I think she's going to get floored, all right? And, but yeah, it's you're looking at minus 300 here. I'll probably be throwing her in a couple slips because she's looking good. But I just look at this picture of Ming on the right, and I'm just like, oh, man. Like, I just don't think she's going to win, bro. The other girl's really, really good. But yeah, I'm going to pick Xiaocan Feng to win this fight easily. Next up is going to be Carlos Hernandez y'all forgive me for this one. Taking on Nyamjargal Tumendemberel, okay? Y'all forgive me for that one, but this dude's a savage, bro. You know, he's coming out there to take your damn head off every second. You know, he's got a lot of submission wins, but he's looking for the knockout, bro. It's not even a question. The guy's extremely aggressive, okay? And he's good on the ground as well, but he's going to look to put you on the back foot immediately and just start swinging as hard as he can. Now, he's going up against Carlos Hernandez, who's had a tough road to the UFC, or, you know, tough fights in the UFC. He's beaten Dennis Bonder, who's a good fighter. Dennis Bonder is good. And Carlos Hernandez is very well balanced. He's got slick hands on the feet. He doesn't hit hard, but, you know, he's got slick hands. And he is at Valley Force with Muhammad and all those guys. And those guys have been, you know, probably doing better than the dumbass fighting nerds. So, yeah, I love that camp a lot, and I do like Carlos Hernandez's game. You know, he showed against Ray Tatsuro, man, it was not easy for Ray Tatsuro, an Olympic medalist wrestler, to come out there and defend takedowns. And he ended up reversing him in the third round. He's got a great gas tank, great combinations. He's got to weather the storm early on. And it's not going to be easy because this dude's insane, bro. He's literally insane, but I like Hernandez here. I'm a fan of his skill set. He's very technical. He does everything the right way, and his takedowns are good. He can defend takedowns. He can take you down. I'm going to stick with my gut here and go with Hernandez. I do think it's a close fight, though. I might hedge the first round KO for Nyamjargal. But yeah, I like Hernandez to get this one done. Next up, let's go, baby. My boy, the best striker at flyweight already. He's right here. Lanier Kavanagh, he's right here. He's taking on Jose Ochoa, and it's not even a question, bro. Jose Ochoa, I watched him. He's pretty good. He's at shootbox. He's not going to shoot takedowns. It's not even going to be a close fight. No, I'm joking, all right? I like Lanier Kavanagh a lot, and I do think he is extremely high potential. And I'm not going to sit here and say that because that doesn't make sense. But, look, Jose Ochoa, he's a shoot box guy. You know how they fight. They're wild. They're crazy. And you're going up against a guy who, like I said, is probably the best striker at flyweight. You know, he does everything at such a high level. He's so fast. His leg kicks, he has power. His boxing is great. His kicking is great. His spinning attacks are great. His knees are great. Okay, this is insane, bro. I got to chill. But this guy is the real deal, okay? And I know that people have been talking, oh, there's value on Ochoa. There's no value on him, bro. Lanier Kavanagh's going to smoke him, all right? And, you know, those shoot box guys, they got good grappling, good BJJ. Their takedowns, though, they usually lack. Their takedowns are usually lackluster. They're not that effective, and he's not really going to shoot that much, I don't think. And he might eventually figure out that, oh, God, I got to shoot, because Lanier Kavanagh is not a guy to be messed with on the feet, man. He's very, very technical. And as long as anybody's fighting him on the feet, he's not going to have a lot of trouble, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, okay? And I don't think Ochoa's got enough for him. I've watched him on the regional scene. He's fought absolutely nobody. Actually, his LFA win was okay, but other than that, he's fought nobody. And Kavanagh's going to smoke him. I do think that. He's too wild. It's not going to be a good night for Jose Ochoa, and I hope he comes out the octagon awake. Okay, I got to chill. Next up is going to be Kwang Lee taking on Xiaolan. Now, Kwang Lee had a debut versus Chris Gutierrez. Didn't go his way, but coming in on short notice, stealing a round off of the borderline top 15 guys, no joke. And Xiaolan, man, this guy, you know, he had probably one of the most boring fights I've ever seen in was it Singapore or Saudi Arabia? It was a fight where I was about to fall asleep. There was just clinch for 30 minutes. It was awful. But what he's gonna do is he's gonna come out there and he's gonna push the pace, throw a lot of volume, and I don't think he's gonna win. I think Kwang Lee is a better fighter. I do. He's a little bit older, you know, but he's had a lot of success in the LFA on the regional scene. Then he comes in the UFC and has a pretty good debut versus Chris Gutierrez. Like I said, top 15, borderline top 15, top 20 guy. And I think what he does the best, for Kwang Lee does, is he strikes and mixes in his wrestling so good. And Xiaolan is very good on the ground, but I think Kwang Lee is better. I do think he's better, and he's more technical. I expect him to land counter strikes, counter shots. He's got a good jab. He's got a long reach. And Xiaolong's too wild for me, man. I'm not picking him. He's too wild. And yeah, he can push the pace and he can break you down with his, his cardio is not that good. He just pushes a high pace. He got fucking schooled by Christian Quinones on the Contender Series. Schooled. It was bad. He got his ass kicked by Christian Quinones. I don't even know if that dude's in the UFC, but Quinones not bad. Kwang Lee's better here, man. I think he mixes in the wrestling so well that he's going to not destroy. I think he's going to beat Xiaolong, but I'm confident in this guy. I think he'll get this one done, and I believe he's an underdog. It's somebody I'm probably going to bet on. I believe he'll get it done. And the first fight, Maheshate taking on Nick Mata. I'm going to be going with Nicholas Mata. I just said I'm going to be picking Nicholas Mata in 2024, man. I got to chill. But Nicholas Mata, he doesn't do anything really great in my opinion, but he hits hard. And what he does do well is counter-striking. And Maheshate is there to be countered, okay? He's very reckless. He has no defense whatsoever. He's coming in there, and he is dangerous. He's dangerous. He could definitely put Nicholas Mata out, without a doubt. But when I look at Mata, he's had success versus these taller guys countering. He goes out there and knocks out Van Camp, as well as knocks out Nolan. So Maheshate is a 6-foot guy, and he's more in the pocket than those guys. So I do think Nicholas Mata is going to knock Maheshate the hell out. Maheshate is dangerous. We'll see if he's made any adjustments, but honestly, I don't think he's made any adjustments because in that last fight versus, oh my gosh, I can't even remember, the dude who fought Jim Miller, Benitez, he looked horrible. I mean, he split the decision with Gabriel Benitez. I think, Mata would beat the hell out of Gabriel Benitez, so it makes me worried for Maheshate because I do think he has a lot more talent than Nicholas Mata for sure, but Mata's got good timing on his counter strikes. He's out at Extreme Couture. He's getting good training in, and I do think he'll get this one done via KO. So yeah, man, that's gonna wrap it up for me. I hope y'all boys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.